sit right over here to start on the floor, and I'm gonna sit here, so. What? Is the story true? You'll have to decide once you hear it. All right, welcome everybody. My name is Bethany. How this is going to work is I'm going to read you a story, and you'll listen to the story, and then we'll go over to the tables and we have drawing supplies, and then you will draw the illustrations. Does anybody know what illustrations are? What's illustration?
An illustration is someone that draws a picture for a story.
Exactly. Is that what you were going to say too? Perfect. So I'm going to read the story, and I just want you to imagine what the illustrations will look like. And there's no right or wrong answer. We're just going to have you be the illustrator for this story. And it's a story that you've never heard before. It can look however you want. I've got pencils and erasers and crayons, and
I like to draw black and white.
yeah, there's no right or wrong with these pictures. They can look however you want. Ready? Once upon a time, there was a family of 3 little mice, Jerry, Mary, and Cobb. They lived in the fullest dumpster of the best alley in the city. They were happy mice who enjoyed playing together by the fountain and eating old donuts left over from the bakery. As they grew older and finished with their schooling, it was time for them to leave the comforts of the dumpster and strike it out on their own. Saying goodbye to their supportive parents, the 3 mice left to find home in new places and start their careers. The first to find luck was Mary. Mary had always been the builder type. She loved geometric angles and incorporating sound engineering concepts. Mary was also determined to use repurposed building materials, which are better for the environment. And sure enough, what should Mary happen upon when exploring the alley? Why, a bunch of old rubber bands. "Oh, how wonderful, rubber bands," exclaimed Mary. "Just think of the house I could construct with those. Oh, but what should I bind them together with? I need something plentiful and sustainable." Just then, a pigeon flew by and dropped a feather from its wing. "Of course," said Mary, "feathers. This alley is full of discarded feathers, and they will make lovely, soft, and insulating walls for my new house." And with that, Mary went about collecting all the feathers in the alleyway and used the rubber bands to bind them until she constructed a solid yet fluffy home for her to live in. Pickles was a large orange tabby cat who lived next door. He was bored, having just finished his daily activity of staring out a window. He decided to take a stroll through the alley when he noticed 2 of his favorite playthings, feathers and rubber bands. "What luck!" Pickles exclaimed. "Surely the builder of this fine house won't mind sharing it with me." He approached the house and knocked on the door. He was surprised to see a small mouse peeking out the window at him. Little mouse, let me come in." Mary replied, "Not by the flail of my long, thin tail." Pickles, disappointed by the mouse's refusal, said in his loudest voice, "Then I'll paw, and I'll claw, and I'll scratch your house down." And with that, he began to pull the feathers out and chase the rubber bands as they tumbled to the ground. Mary, furious but knowing when to accept defeat, ran as fast as she could to her brother's house to take shelter from the destructive cat. Meanwhile, Jerry, the artist of the group, had his sights set on a colorful roll of yarn he found outside a craft donation center. He thought, "My, how this yarn is so soft and colorful. It will make the perfect home for an up-and-coming artist mouse such as myself." Jerry proceeded to knit the yarn into tight circular doilies, leaving an opening for him to burrow within. Everything was perfect. Jerry's home was warm and cozy, full of color, and best of all, represented his skills in creative stitchwork, thereby justifying his career choice to his parents. All was well for an aspiring artist such as himself. Jerry had every right to be proud. His yarn house was very attractive. Unfortunately for Jerry, though, it soon proved to be too attractive, for who should notice it when sauntering down the alley was none other than Pickles the cat. Pickles was still riled up after having just demolished Mary's carefully constructed house of feathers and rubber bands. Now he was instantly drawn to Jerry's beautifully knitted yarn home. "Amazing," said Pickles. "Here I thought I had played enough for one day, but now I see someone left a wonderful ball of yarn for me to play with." Just as he was about to sink his teeth into the yarn, he noticed movement inside. 2 little mice with frightened faces peered out at him. Not again. Maybe these mice will be more generous. Little mouse, let me come in. Jerry and Mary called back, not by the flail of my long, thin tail. Unbelievable, Pickles thought. Then I'll paw and I'll claw and I'll scratch your house down. And with that, he began plucking the house apart, strand by strand. Jerry and Mary ran away just as Pickles rolled onto his back and began to bat the house around with his back paws. They ran as fast as they could, hoping Cobb made a dwelling less appealing to cats. Cobb, the practical one, had constructed a modest home out of a box she found in the alley. The box was sturdy and had cost her no money to turn into a home. The box floated on a large puddle, much like the houseboats they had seen on the Willamette River during a family vacation. When Cobb saw her siblings in distress, she rowed her house to the edge of the puddle and helped the 2 mice aboard. What happened? She asked. Jerry and Mary told of their beautiful houses and the destruction brought upon them by the orange cat. As the mice were coming up with their plan, Pickles put down the yarn house. He stretched and yawned. Boy, I'm exhausted after all that playing. If only I had a nice box to use as a bed. He walked down the alley when he spotted the puddle. In the center of the puddle was the perfect-sized box. He wanted to crawl in for a nap, but there was one problem. The box was in the middle of a large puddle, and cats do not like to get wet. Just then, he saw 3 little mice peering over the side of the box. He called out, little mouse, let me come in." Cobb cried, "Not by the flail of my long, thin tail." Pickles replied, "Then I'll paw and I'll claw and I'll scratch your house down." But he could not reach the house without getting his paws wet, which he really did not want. The box was so close and he was so tired. Pickles began to cry. The mice were shocked. They had never seen a cat cry before. Cobb called out, "Cat, why are you crying? We are the ones who should be crying. You destroyed my brother and sister's homes, and now you are trying to destroy mine." Pickles, sniffling, said, "I'm sorry I destroyed your homes. I just wanted to play. Now I am tired and I want a box to nap in." Cobb called back, "Actually, there are lots of boxes." "Really? Where?" "Behind the shoe store, just down the alley." Pickles walked down the alley until he found the stash of boxes. Looking at the pile of boxes, he came up with a great idea. To make up for destroying the mice's houses, he constructed an apartment building out of boxes. The cat and the mice lived happily ever after in their affordable box apartments. The end. Over there.
Hello, my name is Allison. I am 7.5. There were 3 mice, one named Jerry, one named Cobb, and one named Mary. So Mary built houses out of feathers and rubber bands. Jerry built his house out of yarn, and Cobb built his house with a box. And then Pickle started knocking on their doors. He wanted to borrow some equipment to build those houses. They said no, so he started tearing them down. So he kept walking to the other houses, but then once he got here, he felt sorry, so he started to walk through the valley and find some boxes so he can sleep in a box, and to reward them for helping him, he built some apartments out of the boxes to reward them.
Well, nice work, Allison. Thanks for making this drawing and telling us about it.
My name is Harrison. I'm 5 years old.
Well, welcome, Harrison. Can you tell us about your picture?
So the mice are eating the donut, and then Pickles destroys the first house, and then Pickles destroys the other house, and then you can't destroy the other house because it's floating in a puddle.
And is this the
Sky.
That's the sky up there, and you've got a sun. Oh, it looks like, is this Pickles right here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like how he's kind of like crawling up and destroying the house. That's just what a cat would do, isn't it? Well, excellent work, Harrison. I really like the details there. Thanks so much for telling me about your picture.
You're welcome.
My name is Audrey and I'm 8 years old.
All right, Audrey, tell us about your picture.
Mary builds a house with rubber bands and feathers. Jerry builds a house with yarn, and Cobb built a house with the box in a wet puddle. Mary's house gets destroyed by Pickles, the orange cat. She goes find her brother Jerry, and then Pickles destroys their house, and then they both go to Cobb's house. And then Pickles is afraid to go into that wet puddle, so Pickles thought of an idea to build a house for the 3 mice out of a bunch of boxes, and they lived happily ever after together.
Excellent retelling. You did a really good job on your details of illustration. Thanks, Audrey, for telling me about your picture. Thanks for coming.
Hi, my name is Nikita and I'm 6 years old. I'm going to tell about the story I drew. These are the mouses. I can tell that this is Mary because she has eyelashes. So they were walking in the forest, and she made a house out of feathers and rubber bands, and he made a house out of yarn, and he did out of a box. And Pickles wanted to play, so then he scratched. I made a little paw there, so it looks like it's scratching. He asked for where a box would be, and then he couldn't reach it because he didn't want his paws to be wet. And then he asked where the box is, and I got the shop with the boxes.
Oh, that's where the boxes are?
Yeah.
And are these the mice down here?
Yeah, I just wanted to draw a bigger picture so they can see well.
Excellent.
And then I put the end.
The end. All right, so
My name is Esme and I'm 8 years old.
tell me about your picture, Esme.
So, this is like, she's surprised because, Pickles is out there, and then because that's his eye, and then he plays with it, and so she's running, and then she goes to her brother's, and then he gets the ball down when he plays with it, and he goes, and he can't go in the water when they run to their brother's house. And then they show like a bunch of the boxes here. So he makes his giant apartment, and then her tail's making a thumbs up.
Oh, because she likes the apartment?
Yeah. But then he's like, none of them see that he's just planning to eat them.
Oh my goodness, a dark turn. I really like how Pickles looks so sad there, just like in the story. And I like how colorful it is and how you did it comic style.
I like comics.
Well, excellent job. Thanks so much for telling me about your picture. All right, so Lena, we're gonna have you stand right over here.
My name is Lena. I'm 11 years old, and this is my picture. This is the girl who has a cat named Pickles. She likes the color blue, which you can see on her nails. And this is a mouse right here, and she likes purple on her jeans. And she says, "Hi, I have a cat named Pickles. I love cats in blue. Oh, and arts, books, boxes, and yarn." And on her shirt, she says cat lover. And as you notice on my headband, I too like cats because my mom and I have been kind of saving up for cats, kind of not. And these are little spectacles on her, little hair, little neck, little mouth and cheeks, and little nose. This is my illustration. This is Pickles down here.